It's my pleasure to welcome all of you to this event, particularly this interfaith dialogue, which is jointly organized by the Baha'i Faith of Kenya and the Department of Philosophy and Religious Studies. It means so much for us to hold such events like this one. And it's not the first one, in fact. It's amongst the many events that we have had together concerning interfaith dialogue. Together with your team in the Baha'i Faith of Kenya, please receive my gratitude on my own behalf and on the behalf of all my colleagues in the Department of Philosophy. I'm happy to note that different faiths are represented here, including the Sikh Council of Kenya and the Sikh Council of Africa, the Hindu Council of Kenya, with whom we have MOUs. We have collaborative agreements officially signed by the heads of our two institutions, namely University of Nairobi and the Hindu Council, for instance, and the Sikh Council. We have a document in place. And it is my hope that we shall have a similar collaborative agreement with the Baha'i Council of Kenya.
I do appreciate the Baha'i. I do remember when I started university in the Faculty of Architecture, my lecturer was Miraz Esani. Yes, Miraz Esani is an architect. He taught me at the beginning of my university life. I appreciate the Muslim community. I know many are represented here. I would like to appreciate the members of SUPKEN who are together with us and the chaplains of the Nairobi County who are with us. My own brother, Hassan Kinywa, who is present here. And also I wish to appreciate the Christian community represented by many denominations. I can see sister here for the Catholics, the brother who said the prayer, and also maybe there are other denominations that I have not been able to mention. So I do welcome you on behalf of the Vice Chancellor and on my own behalf as Dean of the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences. We should not despise or look down upon anybody. We cannot measure the appreciation which God has for the person, because God is the one. So these people, they were Christians, and so they would have thought that, oh, since this is the mother of Jesus, what she will tell us is that it is the Christian who is the holiest. But no, she pointed out a Muslim woman who was the holiest in the whole territory of Yugoslavia at that time. So this is the sort of message I want to leave you with, that the hearts of people, God knows them. We should respect everyone. And I think that is the very spirit of our meeting here. So,
on behalf of the Office of External Affairs of the Bahá'ís of Kenya, I warmly welcome you to today's interfaith dialogue, as we are going to be talking about advancing unity and prosperity together. As we gather here today, the humanity is facing profound challenges. And some of these challenges include inequality, disunity, ecological strain, and widening gaps between spiritual values and material progress. In such moment, the insights and contributions of religion and faith-based actors are very relevant, but also essential. Baha'u'llah reminds us in his tablet of Israqat that the purpose of religion is to establish unity and concord among the children of the world. Make it not the cause of dissension and strife. Religion bestows upon man the most precious of all gifts and offers the cup of material prosperity, imparts eternal life, and showers imperishable benefits upon mankind. As you are all aware, religion is not just confined to ritual and belief, but it is a mighty force for building unity, for healing divisions, and shaping societies where both spiritual and material prosperity can flourish together. This vision echoes through the Baha'i International Community's recent statement, which urges faith-based actors in Africa to go beyond their own sake and to work collectively for peace, justice, reconciliation, and empowerment of women and youth, and safeguarding of our environment. Our task today, therefore, is to reflect on how spiritual principles can guide practical action. How can the light of religion illuminate the path towards prosperity for all? How can our people be united and how can our unity as people of faith become a wellspring of trust, resilience, and collective progress? So, I would urge you today, let us engage in this dialogue with humility, sincerity, and a shared commitment to advancing the well-being of our communities and our nation.
Why are we having this event? You see, we are looking at the role of religions and faith-based actors in advancing spiritual and material prosperity on the continent of Africa. We should be thinking of how to create our own jobs than thinking of being employed anywhere. There is no employment in the country. But a good thing is that with this, if we have this dialogue we are having, we will solve many of the problems. The issue of climate stress, environmental degradation, and public health burdens, this can only be solved if we all work together across our faiths. Then we have also the erosion of trust in institutions and growing social polarization. This can only be solved by me and you, religious people. If we leave it to politicians, my friend, we'll always be in trouble. And we all remember that the trouble we are in, most of us, is because we believe someone who held the Bible and told you that they'll do this. But that Bible was just to blind our eyes. Faith communities remain Kenya's most trusted, far-reaching networks. I'll tell ourselves one thing. Politicians will come and go. Even if they extend their term, it will be extended, but at the end of the day, they'll go. If it is in religion, when you look at sister here, if she stands here, you are happy to look at. What I'm trying to say, human dignity can only be done when we all work together. Then the prosperity measured by capabilities, education, health, livelihoods, care, and environment. Shared teachings across traditions. All religions teach about justice. There is no any religion which don't teach about justice and compassion. Truthfulness, trustworthiness, and moderation in public life. It is in religion where you can get that. Because anytime anyone who is not religious, especially let's talk of politicians, the moment they take the power, then they never care what they do, whatever you say, that is not their business. Faith in public life, how does it work? We have to do what we call interfaith coalitions for social protection and disaster response. Community health, education, and skills programs, which should be run by FBOs, peace buildings, mediation, trauma healing, and civic dialogue. We must also come up with environmental action like tree planting, river cleanups, water stewardships. And all these are things which are done by many organizations, and one of them being Muslim Prosperous League Africa. And I think by the time we leave this place, we'll be agreeing on how to work on all this, guided by our University of Nairobi. Key opportunities. What is the Kenya's opportunity? One, if we work together as religious people, we can align moral voice with national development agendas at county and national levels. We can ask our leaders, you told us that when you come to power, you'll do this. Why aren't you doing it? Then they cannot have excuse. Integrate disability inclusion and gender equity as non-negotiables. Channel faith networks into youth skills and apprenticeships and entrepreneurship, and partner with universities the way we are doing here. So thank you so much, Baha'i community, for partnering with us. Let us work together, especially to assist our youth.
I bring warm greetings from the Franciscan family in Africa. I want to be grateful to God for the space different space that He has given me to encounter with different people, and for this encounter today. What a time to be alive as a Franciscan religious who is committed to champion the care for our common home. We gather not simply for a lecture in this workshop, but as a sacred assembly of expression. It is like a pilgrimage of hope, called to discern and to act and to testify. We come as people of all ages, students, those who are older than me. Looking at integral ecology, this is what I will focus on. We are not just spectators, but we are supposed to be torch bearers of a new and just ecological vision. One where energy is clean, agriculture is sustainable, and our economies are life-giving. And this tells us that spirituality without action or without taking care of those who need help cannot help us.
In Hindus, we do not believe in the name. We believe in the power. And just like 4 children of the same family can call their dad by different names, dad, pa, baba, right, father, we also believe that the God is one. No matter by which name we call him, that power does not change. And therefore, you will find Hindus who will go to the temples, who will go to the churches, who will go to the mosques, and who will go to the Lotus Temple without hesitation. Because for them, these are only different names for the same power. I myself have had the pleasure of being at the Vatican. I visited the Al-Azhar Mosque in Cairo, the Zawawi Mosque in Oman. Right? I've been to the Lotus Temple in Delhi. This is because we believe that the name doesn't change the power. There are no 4 or 5 or 10 or multiple powers which are running this universe. There is one, and we can call it by any name. And that is why we are at peace with nearly every religion. Right? And peace is the foundation for prosperity. Wherever there is peace, there is prosperity. If we can bring all the knowledge which is available in the faiths, we can determine a way forward which will bring in prosperity to our people. So what is the suggestion? Let's identify 5 critical things which we want to do for our society here in this great country of Kenya. Let each of the faiths use their knowledge to say how would they have solved it in their faiths. Let's discuss it amongst ourselves and then implement it through the interfaith forum which the Baha'i community has created.
The dialogue of the interfaith is very important. What are the benefits? It brings us together to share our common problems which we are facing in the community, within our family groups, as churches, as how my brothers talked about it, my sister talked about it. What we have here is about the challenge and what we are going through. The challenges we are facing today in the country, I want to tell you, Kenya is the best country. I think that Dr. Hassan has walked across, but through the interfaith, Kenya has peace. Peace is there for us. I was with the Sikh yesterday. It's only the country of Kenya you can find the both religious are coming together and sharing together. Go to other countries. Kenya is an example for other countries. God has blessed us with a beautiful continent because of interfaith. Because if you walk across, you'll find that interfaith are in place in Kenya. It is where we can share like this. It is where we can share the table. It is where we now do even intermarriage. As I finish up, there's something called death, birth, problem, and joy. All belongs to God. You and I should work together so that this kind of meeting should be reorganized again so that we can educate our religious families.
It's always a privilege to be among colleagues from different religions. And I think that gatherings like this are truly a testament to the power of unity in diversity, where different religions can come together not merely to discuss doctrine, but to delve into social issues that basically reflect the moral and spiritual dimensions of creating a just and prosperous society. So from a Baha'i perspective, religion is not confined to just a personal devotion. It is rather meant to be a tool or a force that leads to societal transformation. This is why the Baha'i community seeks to engage in public discourse and also is very keen on interfaith collaboration. So at the national and county level, we join and contribute to dialogues that have to do with education, with health, gender equality, and then on a regional perspective, through the Bahá'í International Community office in Addis Ababa, we seek to engage in public discourse that reflects on Africa-wide development, social development. So today we are discussing the BIC statement. And the statement that we're exploring emphasizes that true prosperity must be understood not just from a material perspective, but also from a spiritual one. I think Dr. Kinyua, Sister Mary Francis, and all the speakers before have emphasized that we live in a time where material advancement has accelerated quite rapidly, but yet we still see so much inequality. We see so much moral crisis, a lot of environmental challenges. And these are challenges that confront our society. And as long as you're a human being, you will not be untouched by some of these crises. So what this reveals is that material advancement alone cannot sustain the society. It cannot guarantee the well-being of a human being. The statement also reminds us that when moral principles such as justice, solidarity, and compassion, when those values and spiritual principles guide our development, then progress becomes holistic and more sustainable. So again, in Kenya, we see very clearly, because on one hand, we are blessed with extraordinary natural resources, entrepreneurial energy, cultural richness, but yet on the other hand, communities face deep disparities, whether it's in health, whether it's in education, or access to livelihoods. The statement says, and I quote, "Material advancement in the absence of spiritual values has not brought about the well-being of humanity." I'll say it again. Material advancement in the absence of spiritual values has not brought about the well-being of humanity. I think this requires us to pause and to reflect on whether prosperity should be measured in just GDP growth or infrastructure projects. If we measure growth just by the material advancement, we risk overlooking the value of the human spirit. the values that bind communities together and motivate us to serve one another. So when we talk about these qualities that sustain progress, again, I will borrow from the statement directly, and it says, communities begin to see that sustainable prosperity, both material and spiritual, emerges from fostering qualities such as trustworthiness, generosity, service to humanity and to the common good, qualities that bring lasting foundation for both strong bonds of friendship and collective progress. In this country, we've seen, for example, during times of crisis, whether it is a drought or a terrorist attack or pandemics like we saw recently, what sustains communities is not just the financial capital. It is the trust, the unity, the shared responsibility. These are profoundly spiritual in nature. And I can go further and say that these qualities are truly the engines of sustainable progress. This leads us to the role of religion and the role that religion itself can play in advancing both material and spiritual prosperity. The statement notes, again, I quote, religion can help establish a shared vision of society and nurture the moral capacities needed for its realization. Religion can help establish a shared vision of society and nurture the moral capacities needed for its realization. The statement then concludes with a vision and says that humanity's collective life can be continually reshaped towards even greater justice, unity, and prosperity. So we are told that this is a continuous process, and it has to be a collaborative process. And I think this is where the richness of our interfaith gathering becomes so important, because every tradition and belief system that is represented here today talks about this collective endeavor and the power of unity, the wisdom that enriches our shared endeavor. The Laudato Si movement, it calls us to care for our common home. Islam emphasizes justice and compassion in human relations. Hinduism teaches dharma and harmony as foundations for social order. Sikhism talks about the equality and selfless service, reminding us that dignity and service to humanity are inseparable. The Hare Krishna tradition highlights devotion and simplicity, calling us back to values that resist material excess and places spiritual growth as the center of human life. And finally, the Baha'i writings underscore the oneness of humankind as the essential principle for building a just society. So, dear friends, these are not competing truths. These are complementary resources, lived realities, if you will, for building a society that is both materially prosperous, but also very spiritually grounded. This statement really is an invitation to think of prosperity not as a privilege that should be enjoyed by a few, but a shared reality, one that must advance both materially and spiritually. It's also an invitation to us as faith actors to move beyond dialogue into collective action, and really to make religion a source of unity and a source of creating solutions rather than division.
Mine is a appreciation to the Baha'i International Community for such a great discussion. This discussion is timely. The global religious leaders and the Religions for Peace and the African Council of Religious Leaders in their last national discussions are having this discussion about shared prosperity, shared flourishing. And when I was reading about the Addis Ababa statement, it's the same spirit about shared prosperity, shared flourishing. And I truly believe that in a world which is really faced with different challenges, a lot of issues, climate change, inequalities, it is time that we look life as sacred, societies are shared, and that we can't do it independently. I really appreciate what the statement says. Yesterday I was reading about the statement. We should go deeper in our discussions. We should now, as a community, as people who have been doing interfaith dialogues for years, and I think Sheikh Abu Hamza has really done it a lot with spiritual reasoning and all that, we should now go deeper. We have already agreed that we are different. Our diversity is our strength. But how can we bring together these diversities, these different faiths, to address challenges that face us? So I really appreciate the statement, that spirit of the statement, that as a Kenyan people, we should now stop talking about we appreciate you as a Muslim, we appreciate you as a Protestant, as a Catholic, as a Baha'i. No, we should now go deeper into mobilizing those faith resources to address challenges that affect us.
If we take advantage of the education as a religious community, what are we sending to these children? I think we need to think broader, matters religion, and what is our role as interfaith in Kenya and also the religious communities in Kenya.
For us to prosper, and then we need two entities. In one of the Baha'i writings or principles of the faith is religion and science should go hand in hand. We see the role of science in making us acquire knowledge that enable us to read our reality. And religion gives us knowledge about the realities of God. Therefore, having a mindset that is open to new understanding and to new reality will make us be human enough to know to do and to know and do as human being is, to do what is right for each and every person. One way that we can solve our problems is through consultation. And we consult in a spiritual way where whatever the outcome of the matter, then it should be agreeable to every person who actually attends that consultative meeting.
Today, I am very humbled to hear for the social impacts that the faith leaders in its diverse nature are coming together to do something for the common good, which is really nice. But then we forget that even as interreligious groups, we also require to continue in academia in terms of dialogue. First of all, even if we have this dialogue, I tend to have the opinion that we are coming together, yes, for social impact, but we forget to understand each other's culture, which needs to be promoted more. So for example of how today I've learned more on Muslim, Islam, and also Hinduism, and of course Catholicism, even though I'm one, it still needs to have that more effort, especially amongst young people, so that even as we continue to channel in other areas such as health, environment, and education, we're able to understand each other. The second thing is on the call on interfaith leaders in terms of policy influence and guiding values and ethics. So right now, Africa is on the bridge of being influenced by Western opinions and policies that might affect us in one way or another, and especially in a negative way. And unfortunately, for the interfaith leaders, either we are oppressed or we have been limited in speaking the truth, which is also affecting the young people, especially right now where poverty is so high and people can do to the extremes just to be able to cater for themselves. So as we look for more and future dialogue, I'm hoping that we can also focus towards guiding values and ethics, and as well as agreeing to disagree, bringing back the culture of where people can actually have different cultures and they do not have to cancel that culture, but appreciate and agree to disagree in their own opinions.
Our diversity, as we sit here, people of different faith, it teaches us, the value, the importance of stewardship, the importance of peace, and, the importance of, let me say, care for our common home. And so I just wanted to, add on what he raised earlier, as faith voices, how can we move from just a dialogue to now, let me say, a joint call to action, against poverty, against, fossil fuels, against injustices in our communities. How do we ensure we move on from this dialogue to a call to action as faith communities? Thank you.